This segment is sponsored by Boomer Naturals.
Well, if you've been out and about, you've seen some pretty creative folks with their mask making abilities. I saw someone the other day who was like this, walking through the store. So that's probably not going to keep you safe, but I'm not a doctor, but my new friend Mary Clifton is, and she's representing Boomers Natural today to talk about masks, their effectiveness, and how you can get a really good one for you to stay safe and well during this pandemic. Take a look. Boy, in this pandemic time, the one thing that is so important is the face covering. And you are my resident expert today about all things face covering. And you represent a company called Boomer Naturals.
That's right.
And they have some amazing products. And I'm so excited to dive right in. So, first, tell me why it's important to follow the CDC recommendation of actually putting the face covering on and wearing it out in public.
Well, it's an important part of doing the best you can to protect yourself and your family from infection, but also protecting everybody else. This virus and so many other viruses like it have an incubation period where you can be sick for an average of 5 days, but it can take up to 2 weeks from the time that you get infected to the time that you show symptoms. And that whole time, you can be transmitting virus to other people. Or a seemingly healthy person can transmit the virus to you. And it's spread through these respiratory droplets and respiratory aerosolizations that normally occur with normal speaking and just normal community engagement. So it's not really enough to walk around somebody who you see coughing, because you may actually walk into the cloud or the sneeze cloud of somebody who's turned a corner. And, these high velocity things like a cough or a sneeze send a lot of viral particles a long distance under high velocity, and they can spread quickly and cause a lot of infection. So it's super helpful if you're coughing or sneezing, or if you're in that pre-phase of infection, to protect people from you. But then also, if you're wearing a mask, it protects somebody else's cough or sneeze from getting into your face holes.
Sure. So there's the homemade scarves, there's the bandanas, there's the people putting their shirts up over their nose. I mean, that's the kind of the basic level of it. And then there's that level of mask, and then there's exponential levels of mask as well. So what do you have there with you today from Boomer Naturals that is a really, really effective method?
Well, of course, the N95 professionally fitted is the Cadillac of masks, and you're going to get 19 out of 20 particles blocked. It's 95% effective, 96% effective when you're using that mask. And then things go up from the bandana or the shirt over your nose and mouth. One layer of fabric protection is better than nothing probably, but when you start to add 2 or 3 layers of fabric, you're starting to get a significant amount of filtration while still preserving breathability and talkability, being able to talk through it. What I love about these Boomer masks is that they're cozy. It's a cotton poly fabric. They have cute little ones that I sent my grandkids. And they also are treated with a nano silver particle so that you are able to block quite a bit more particulate matter, and it also functions as a natural antibacterial and antiviral. And it works very well. You can wash it for 30 times, so it makes it extremely affordable, just 30 cents a wearing. And if it's not too dingy, you can even put it in a paper bag if you don't have time to wash it. Put it in the oven for 20 minutes at your lowest setting, and that will also sanitize it. But you can use it for 30 wearings, and very easy and comfortable to apply. You just put one ear loop through one ear, and then cover your mouth and nose, and then loop the other ear. And then to wear it properly, just make sure that you check on these areas where air can sometimes sneak around the mask, and get it to fit as smoothly as possible against your skin. And then when you're ready to take it off, same thing. Just take off the ear loops, wash it in warm soapy water for 2 minutes, and then just hang it to dry. And then if you have a couple of them, you can have them in rotation, and you have one ready, each time you need to use one.
So I think that human nature is going to prevail and people are going to have one mask and they're going to wear it for 90 days and maybe they'll wash it, but probably not. And so what is the safety, are we doing ourselves any good with that kind of behavior?
Well, I think it's a good idea to wash your mask with some regularity because you're really breathing through it pretty aggressively while you're out. And the more that you humidify the mask, the less efficacious it is. It's easier for viral particles to cross through the fabric and be identified on the inside of the mask when the mask is very humidified with the air that you're breathing in and out. So if you've worn your mask for a period of time and you just grab it and put it back on, that's probably not the smartest thing for you to do if you're trying to avoid infection. So even if you can just alternate between one or two, and I realize washing is difficult, but if popping it in the oven is easier for sanitizing, that's great too. Then you also have the triple layer fabric protection, the triple layer of cotton poly here. So it's gonna take its time anyway, the virus to cross all of those layers of fabric too.
You know, I don't, I've been wearing a mask when I've been out.
Mhm.
Obviously, I think the industry that's going to really become the winner in this is mouthwash and breath mints.
Because you become so aware.
Because you've got that on, you just become so aware of your breath.
Uh, I've
So,
been wearing a mask on and off for 25 years. I mean, I've been a doctor for a long time, and it's hard to get used to them. It's hard to not always want to adjust them and everything. But the infection here is going to come through the face hole. So if you feel you need to adjust your mask, that's not that big of a deal. It's you just don't want to pull it down and scratch on your face and then push it back up because then, we've you probably took a step back there. But just recognizing that the humidity is important. So sometimes when I'm doing a long number of errands, when I have curbside pickup at two or three places, or if I have to have a face-to-face short contact, I'll make sure that I'm wearing a fresh mask right before so that I have virtually no humidity and the mask is doing a very good job of capturing particles for me.
so one last thing, talk to me about the fact that, we've got our mask on, we're properly wearing it, we've done our errands, we've done everything properly. You get home. How do you keep your home safe from the things that you may be bringing back into it?
Oh, I love that question. There's a number of different sites on the web that can talk to you about exactly how long the virus can live on different objects. And paper and cardboard is a short lifespan, but when you get into plastics or metals, it can be present for 7 or 8 days. So there's definitely what we refer to as fomite transmission where like a public restroom could have infectious particles in it and you could get sick even though you were the only person in the room. It was transmitted by fomites, by these intermittent spaces like sinks or toilets. The same is true of doorknobs and plastics. So when you're coming home, you want to try to remove as much of the plastic bags and just throw them away or set them aside for at least 2 weeks before you access them again. And just make sure you have a good like light bleach disinfectant spray that you can spray on the doorknobs and leave it in place. So when I come home from the store, everything gets out of the plastic. The plastic goes to its cooling off environment, which is a little container I keep in the garage. And then I spray everything down with my bleach disinfectant and allow it to sit and do its job, wipe everything down. But then I go through the whole back of the hall after coming home too with those things so that if there's any error or mishap that I did in bringing things into my home, I make sure to limit that exposure. And that's probably going to be all anybody would need to do.
And that's a lot more than we've ever had to do.
You
So,
know, when I go to pick up my groceries, I mean, I'm a New Yorker and I get my groceries delivered frequently because it's hard to get a lot of big bulky things in New York. And so bringing delivered groceries in is something I'm used to. But yeah, this is quadrupling the time that it takes for me to bring the groceries in. This is changing my life a little bit in that direction, but I'm saving time with commuting, so I guess that's the trade-off here. I don't know.
Good trade-off, I guess. Well, it's a pleasure to speak with you this morning. Really excited to see all of the great opportunities and products from Boomer Naturals, and we're going to populate our Facebook and our social media handles to send all of our friends at home directly to you so they can get their mask and stay
Oh,
healthy.
wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. I just want everybody to try to feel comfortable and safe during this scary time. And the mask provides really a lot of support toward protecting you.
Great. Thanks for being here on Hometown Living.
Thanks, Craig.